Hey, I'm in the woods. I don't know why. I just kind of thought this would be fun for an intro. But I'm recording this before any of the script is even done. I am done interviewing everybody, so there's that. But I just wanted to say thanks for the people that I interviewed. Thanks for your time and all that. Thanks for answering my questions. I didn't do a script for this. I probably should have, but it's whatever. And yeah. Just like thanks for watching. Thanks for your help. This is the most work I've went to video that I've actually enjoyed doing in a long time. Considering that a lot of my videos are done just like, man, I should do that just on a whim at like 4 in the morning. I think this is going to sound pretty good. I'm going to put a lot of work into this actually. This is Mudge. He's mine. Good little goblin he is. But yeah. I don't know. Yeah, that's it. I've been in many game communities. I've never seen a game community of this size cook this hard. Alright? But what is this game that I'm talking about? Well, it's motherfucking Snoot Game, alright? This shit, and I Want to Hug That Gator, have been on my mind since I made the review for it. Like, I played it 3 days ago. I finished them back in March. It is June. Like, so let me put into perspective what I mean of a community this size, right? This is Minecraft's subreddit size. This is the biggest game in the world. It makes sense that, just from the sheer quantity of people, that something of theirs, that they're going to have big projects. But, like, this is Snoot Games size. It's, like, there are 30 plus mods, 3 fan games on the way, a fan-made voice-acted remake, and so much art. And it's just amazing the sheer output of high quality content that this game is putting out, that the community is putting out. It's this high quality part of the projects that really interest me. But the people that I'm talking to are the 3 fan games, the team working on Snoot Game Encore. That's the voice acted remake. The artist CatHead and Bucket Slayer. He does a lot of mod reviews, and he's been posting those on the Reddit. But before I get into the interviews, quote, quote, I wanted to thank once again Wolf Serenity, Recluse Spider, Roach King, DevLog, CatHead, Yeezy, the Encore team lead, and Bucket Slayer for their time answering my questions. The questions were generic, and they were kind of ass, I think. And, I was going into these interviews hoping that, hey, maybe they'll reveal some information, and I'll be able to ask a question I wasn't really planning on. And, these questions were there to try and, make it so it's less of just the person behind the screen with a name attached to them. Because it's like, hey, how do we know they're real? Why did they get into this is what I wanted to know. because like it's a small community, but there's still 7,000 plus people in the subreddit alone. So that disconnect is still there. It's not quite as like person to person, you know. But let's just get right into the interviews. So I started every interview with the same question: how did you get into this new game? It's a very trivial question, but it reveals a lot about the person. And I don't really go into what that reveals about them, but just by hearing this, you can make your own assumptions. And so first, let's start with Roach King and the Mimi Project. And, first question, how did he get into this new game? Well, he answered, I just remembered that Goodbye Volcano High existed and wanted to check out how well it did. Saw a video about Snoo Game and interest peaked. That very same Snoo Game video, I got the trailer for Wani on my recommended and I was hooked. From there, I immediately asked about how the project started. He says, it began with a few animations. I didn't know how to draw dinos, so I just made up some anon. That animation got a massive boom on Reddit, so I made another. A lot of people liked Nua, so I made Maddie, and it just kept snowballing from there. I got questions about their lore, if I'm making a game, so I caved in and started writing. After that, I asked about the team. How big is it? Who does what? He asked me not to share about the team, as I did ask if it was okay to talk about everything mentioned to everyone in the messages. And I will say nothing other than he works on it. Roach works on it. But, who could have guessed? After the team questions, I asked, how big of a project do you see this being? And I believe that his answer is the juiciest part of this interview. And so he said, I want the story to be over a year, which I think would be a large taking. I'm thinking on making the game episodic if I could figure out how to work with updating the game. But right now, I'm just working on the beta and seeing how people respond to it. And follow-up question was like a Telltale game, in which he said, not as dog shit, but kinda. But that whole episodic thing is just a thought. And so I ended that interview with two quick questions. What is your favorite project, and any reveals that you haven't made yet? Let's get the exciting one out of the way. He told me, hold on, surprises are coming. So no big reveals, but they are coming. But as for his favorite part of the project, he really likes his characters and hopes others will too. And as someone that writing is their main hobby, I understand that. But next up is the DevLog project. This is a more recent one with the announcement for it, not even a month old. But the quality of what has been shown is really good. And of course, the first question I asked was, what got you in this new game? And, well, he said, memes? Kind of. I watched the PS5 reveal of Goodbye Volcano High, so I knew about it. I forgot about it for a while until people started posting about this new game, which a good number of people said was unironically good, although I didn't actually play it until after Wani. No real reason why, and I legit don't know what got me to play Wani. Just kind of happened. I then asked how the project began, and from that I was told he had previous experience from other projects. And so they said, just kind of chatting with some people on the Snoot Club Discord, the idea of a story about video game development was interesting, and the stresses and drama that come from it. I know about it. I've helped some people on their projects, so it seemed like a cool idea. From there, I just sketched up some of the characters. I just kind of formed from there. The biggest was probably the biggest project. This is talking about like his previous experiences. Was probably a team trying to make a MLP themed Fallout game. It's cringe, sure, but I learned a crap ton about the process, and I met a good few people that are now in the video game industry. And, he has this experience, and I think that's what contributes a lot to the quality that is shown, because this is not his first venture into this. But, a lot of these projects have a team. So I asked about the teams behind this project, and he said, dedicated, it's just me. But I have a few friends helping me out here and there, and I am commissioning out stuff I can't do myself. Originally, I was going to have an extra person helping me, but life kind of got in the way of that. But the fact that there is one dedicated person to this, I think is really impressive. And I don't know if he's trying to downplay it or just remind me, but even with other people helping from time to time, that is impressive with the quality that is shown. But with one person, the scale of this project can't be that big, right? Well, they didn't go specifically into it, but they did say that I have a set scale in mind. I don't plan on making it larger. I want to do bonus content after the initial release, sure, but that isn't my focus right now. Won't be until after I get the game out. And with all this work, there has to be something they like more, right? Well, he likes thinking up the characters and their stories. I always have been a big fan of lore and characters, so that is easily the most fun part. But discounting that, everything is kind of even in my mind. I enjoy seeking stuff or seeing stuff come together, and I enjoy the process, but can also get frustrating with stuff like coding or just get tedious. So it all kind of evens out in the end. And as for reveals, the latest one was this. And yeah. And the next one is the game that I have looked forward to the most. Not only were Wolf and Recluse incredibly nice, the philosophy that they have towards the creation of this game is probably the best. And with that being in mind and being said, here's the interview. For MegaLoveMania, same intro question. They answered. Wolf, for me, it was a funny story. I had been lazing around with my life when a no commentary video on Goodbye Volcano High popped into my feed. I figured, why not, since I saw its announcement before. Next thing I know, I was dropped into the rabbit hole and never bothered to climb out. After discovering Snoot, I played it, and it roped me in with its uniqueness. And Spider said, I watched this guy on YouTube called Master Lasharion playing Snoot game. I liked the humor of the game, so when Wanda came out, I played it with low expectations, but I guess you just figured out what happened. And so I want to know how it started, the project. And so Wolf goes on to say, where to begin? Me and Recluse met on a random Snoot server. We kind of just clicked and became friends. Then one day, Recluse made this drawing, right here. I liked it a lot because of the uniqueness of the character. Had added a Snoot Sona and made some lore for her. Next thing we know, the owner of the server yanked us both and then making her into a full damn game. And I wanted to know how long it was between that point and the announcement of the game, which was about 2 months ago. But they did ask that I do not go into this bit for reasons of not creating drama, but all I will say is a disagreement happened, and so they revealed the game earlier than they would like. But after this, I asked about their team size. There's 11 of them. This is who does what. Every one of them has more talent than I ever will, so, good on y'all. How big did I asked how big did they see the project becoming? And this is the While a short answer, it is a very exciting answer. They said, "This is entirely up to the fan base. I only promised a full demo and maybe a bit of extra story, maybe a bit extra to the story. However, we are prepared to make this into a full game, and by the looks of how things are going, it seems as though that is the future for MegaLoveMania." And like, man, a full game of that? Yes, yes. And this last bit didn't really come up from a question that I asked, but I think that it is worthy of being talked about. But they said the end all be all is that this is a project from the community for the community. And they also said that they have something prepared for Father's Day, so keep a lookout for that. But now that the fan games are out of the way, let's talk about the remake. Snoot Game Encore is a full remaster with added voice acting. It is the biggest project currently. I can't say for sure, but it is a very, very well educated guess. But with that, let's get into the same boring ass intro question. You know what it is. How did they get in this new game? And I was told it was kind of funny. I'm a big fan of cozy games like Oxenfree or Spiritfarer, and I thought Goodbye Volcano High will be in a similar niche for me. After doing some research on the game, I found out that this parody game called Snoot Game, made by no other than 4chaners. So I decided to play the parody first, then go into the real deal. Long story short, the parody grabbed me more than the source material. And then I wanted to know, how did this project start? And I think it has one of the most interesting starts to it. And this is what they had to say. Oh, it was very random. I was just throwing out ideas into the Snoot Club, one of the Discord fan servers for the game, and it was the perfect time where I recently finished the game and was full of inspiration from the game itself. Having a background in audio engineering and seeing how creative people in this fandom can get, I decided to give it a shot. It was hectic at first, finding actors, doing castings. We had so many applicants. We even host votes for the community to decide their favorite voice. Then we were called Snoot Game Dubbed. After we found all the voices, we managed to make a small demo that was well received. Sometime later, we, directors of the project, stumbled upon a Reddit post where a guy wanted to do a remaster of the game, sprites, background, UI, and all that. We contacted him, and some conversations later decided to combine forces. That's how Encore was born. So this wasn't just, hey, let's make a game. It was two separate people doing their own thing, happened to come across each other, and I think that's really cool. But then I want to know about the size of the project. Because, I already told you it was the biggest, but this will put it in perspective just how big it is. It's at the moment, they have around 30 plus people to contribute to the project. Coders, voice actors, artists, musicians, you name it. And at the start, he knew it was going to be kind of biggish because, every character you need a voice actor, but honestly, he did not expect it to get this big. But he's happy with it. He's blessed to work with many talented individuals. Without their help, he would be stuck. And as for reveals, he said, "We share updates on a monthly basis on our Twitter. I have that linked in the description. I would love to reveal some interesting stuff we are working on, but we don't want to ruin the surprise. All I can say is that we're cooking well, and I believe the Snoot community will be pleased with our results." I'm also very excited for that. But that is the end of the fan games and remasters. Now we're getting to more of just community members on the subreddit that I found interesting or have a standing there, let's say. First, we have Bucket Slayer. He's the guy that reviews Snoot Game mods. Now, this one is a bit shorter, so let's speed through it real quick. First, same question, round 5. He says, I found Goodbye Volcano High, but I kept seeing people associate it with Snoot Game. Didn't know what it was, so I went to check it out. I'm very happy for being in this community, so, Yeah. As for why he started reviewing mods, they don't know. They got interested in the mods and just started doing them. But after that, I wanted to know what he thought were the top 3 mods. And so he said, in order, Mojob number 1, Puppet Pals number 2, and Anon's Reconciliation number 3. Quick little section there. Not as much to ask, but really his reviews help a whole lot for some of these mods, because while they have description in like the paste bin and the mega file, the descriptions are not very good. And being able to use these helps a lot. You kind of get a better idea of what you're going into. But moving on from Bucket, this next person ended up intriguing me the most, with all honesty. CatHead is an artist. He's one of the best in the community. Like, look at these. He told me these were just practice. These are so good. This has more talent and skill in art than I will ever have. But I want to explain his background. He's Chinese. He is 7.5 thousand miles away, literally on the other side of the planet as me. He is in China, and we share this common interest, and I forget just how widespread the internet is sometimes, It's like I'm very... It's just one of those things. You don't think outside of your country very often unless that's just how it is, unless you go outside the country very often. And for me, that's no. But being such a different country and culture than mine, and being from a country that my country considers an opponent at the best, I wanted insight as to how art differs between the Americas and China. And so I asked. He said, it's hard to say. Apart from political propaganda, contemporary art and inclusiveness are definitely more mature in Europe and America. It seems difficult to become an artist in China, limited by the living environment or work. China's basic art education is somewhat lacking. It's not because it's bad, but it seemed to be considered insignificant in the face of things like the college entrance exam. So more people's aesthetic ability generally remains at a concrete level. And with that in mind, I wanted to know, how did he get into art? And so he told me. He said, I liked to paint something in my childhood, but I didn't realize I loved art until the second year of high school. My academic performance is not bad, but I still want to take the art exam. I was indeed hesitant at the time, but my high school art teacher encouraged me and said that I would definitely be able to be admitted to an art college. That's when I officially began to study art systematically. Now, I did this interview a little bit out of order because I thought this context was important and should be explained first. But with that explained, first question, you know what it is. So, he saw the Goodbye Volcano High trailer on PS5 China and was pretty interested. After he finished it, he heard the story between it and Snoot Game, so he got into Snoot Game after that. Very basic thing, just progress. I also wanted to know why he created art after this game, and his reasoning was, it's actually quite a long time between my first art and finished playing Snoot. I just drew some fangs at first, but later I recalled some scenes and they still touched me. At that time, I also wanted to try a new direction painting, so he just began making art from them. And the last question was how he goes about making his art. Making art is not something that I am well versed in, nor good at, so I was genuinely interested in his answer somewhat. Or his answer, especially considering it's from someone who knows what they're doing. And what he had to say was, basically, I choose the representation scene from the original. I redescribe it using painting language. I try to use props or colors to express emotion so that the story behind it does not seem so straightforward. And I usually search a lot of other paintings as a reference. They help me a lot on modeling or composition. And after this, I asked about any art that he would like to show off that isn't Snoo Game related or that he just thought was especially good. And that's where it loops back to the beginning of CatHead's part. Is those art pieces that I showed were the pieces that he sent to me. And that's really it. The amount of high quality stuff coming out of this community is crazy to me. I am excited for every project. The mod reviews are genuinely helpful when looking at the mods, and the art is just really, really good. And for like the third time, I want to thank everyone. Thanks for your time. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, comment. I love talking to people in the comments, so do that. I made this video because I don't think anyone has done these games nearly enough justice on YouTube. There are a few videos, but just none that do them justice. And frankly, I don't think I could do it justice either. Not quite like how the community as a whole can. So, thank you. I hope to be doing more in the future. I don't really know because when I do a video, it's often on a whim, so I don't really have a plan for anything. But the next video will very likely be either the Elden Ring DLC, me talking about Baldur's Gate 3, or just going over one of my commander decks for Magic. And yeah, so bye. And one last time for the road. Thank you.